just hit a perfect tee shot, chance to go for the green. So fairway woods and hybrids are so important for most club golfers because they need that distance from the floor, can't get the tee shots out far enough, so if they're going to reach, they need to get these working. But all too often, they struggle topping it, thinning it, fatting it. I'm going to show you in today's video why that's the case, and most importantly, how you're going to get flushing these every single time. So hopefully, you don't hit your fairway woods and hybrids as poorly as that one I opened the video with, because I did make contact with it, but only just enough to get the ball to actually oscillate, didn't actually move. So fairway woods and hybrids. I think where a lot of golfers struggle is they need more distance, and when they get into those longer irons, it's definitely difficult to get golfers hitting the ball high enough and far enough because of a lack of club head speed. Therefore, the hybrids and the fairway woods make great sense as to why they should be able to stand up there, put a good swing on it, and see the ball get up to a nice height, nice strike out the middle of the club, and a 4 hybrid at 210 yards, probably a little longer than I would hit 4-iron. Now, that's probably not a gripe you've got if you're watching this video. Most golfers just don't get that kind of strike on the golf ball I've just delivered. And I think the first biggest mistake I hear with golfers when they've got metal woods in their hands is they talk about wanting to sweep the ball away. Now, what golfers have got to understand is into impact, the club can only do one of 3 things. It could either be moving down into the golf ball, it could be moving up, or it could be moving dead level. Now, I think in most golfers' heads, they want the club moving nice and level with the ground. But if anything, what they tend to do is actually start getting the bottom of the golf swing a little bit behind the golf ball. Now, the problem that's going to create is if the lowest part of the golf swing is back behind the ball, that either means you hit the ground here and it's fat, or you miss the ground back here and the club's actually travelling up by the time it gets to the golf ball. Therefore, you're either going to thin it or top it. So the first thing we need to do is get away from the concept of sweeping it away. We still need the club moving down, hitting ball and then ground, but we need to make sure that low point is ahead of the golf ball. Now, if you've got one of your hybrids handy, try this to begin with. So I want you to put the ball in the middle of the stance like you would with, say, 7-iron down to pitching wedge. And I want you to feel it as you swing to the top of the backswing, everything's pretty normal. And as you get into the top, I want you to feel that your lower body moves towards the target. That's that key movement to try to get that low point after the golf ball. Now, the argument could be, if you do this correct, the low point might actually be too far forward, but you will get ball and then ground. So we're going to get the ball in the middle, and we're going to make sure that first movement is much more towards the target. So strike felt good. My low point was 4.3 inches ahead. So the club's travelled down 5.2 degrees, right out the middle of the club face. I know it's a little bit right, but some good distance on that. Now, I think if that instantly fixes your strike, great. If you were somebody that does it like me there, in theory, the club's maybe just moving down a little too much through impact. So it's dead easy. Instead of having the ball in the middle, I'm now going to move the ball just slightly further forward, maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches forward. If I get that movement the same, now my low point should only be maybe 2 to 3 inches ahead, which should be better angle of attack for the club, but still travelling down through impact. Didn't quite get all of that one. So you see slightly ahead, club travelling down 1.2 degrees, but still 200 yards carry and 210 total. Now, if you're someone who's really struggled with strike, and lots of golfers do, please comment below and let me know if this is helping you. It's that idea of getting that low point ahead. But I think people have been told in the past that they need to hit down more. The problem is when they tend to hit down more, they suddenly just contact even further back behind the golf ball. They know that's not correct, so they struggle with that. So like I said, if you need, have the ball in the middle. If not, just slightly forward of centre. get you moving towards the target. I'm going to touch the ground ahead of the golf ball. And again, felt solid. Low point 2.5 inches ahead. Clubs travel down 3 degrees. Carry at 210, total at 219. Now I know what you might be thinking. Okay, that's great. Got the hybrids going, so that's my long iron replacement dealt with. But when you're getting into 3 wood, 5 wood, the shaft's longer, so theory being that should get us swinging a bit quicker and get the ball going further. But what you tend to see, especially with fairway woods, is straight away golfers get the ball way too far forward, already know that they're not moving this way, so they set the ball off forward, swing back as normal, don't really transfer the weight, the bottom of the swing's way behind, and if they get any other club on the ball, it's very low, very poor strike, and they become that poor with fairway woods that either they don't even come out the bag or they kind of set up just expecting a bad one. So again, go through that little step-by-step, ball in the middle. We suspect this is going to be too exaggerated, but ball in the middle, shift towards the target. Felt good, very, very low. So I can see 3.2 inches ahead, 3.6 degrees down, 226 and 249. I don't dislike that, but for me, that definitely feels too low with my 3 wood. So I would again just move that ball position very slightly forward in my stance, trusting that if I make the movement the same, you can see when I do my practice swings there, I'm touching the mat slightly ahead of the golf ball. So I can set up. That's more the kind of flight I would be after. So we can see low point still ahead, but not quite as exaggerated. Club traveling down 2.4 degrees. Carry at 231, total 249. Now, a question I get asked a lot, so that's when the ball's on the floor, we're going to get you ripping fairway woods and hybrids. But a question I get asked is, when the ball's on a little tee, do I need to then still make sure that I make the same swing? Now, what I would say, when the ball's on the tee, obviously the ball's in the air, so you can get away with the low point being slightly behind. The only reason I would potentially say don't is I think it's very difficult if you've got 2 different swings, one for on the tee, one for on the floor. I think you can get away with being a little behind on the tee and still get the ball up in the air. So we can see there, 1.6 inches behind. Club's moved up just under a degree. And a decent shot down there. But if I were to do that on the floor, I would definitely have thinned that, might have even topped it. So even off a little tee, and I would just tee it down pretty low. I think the higher you tee it, the more you'll kind of get behind. But I would just tee it pretty low, treat it exactly like it's on the floor. Just turn that one over a bit more than I wanted. But we can see low point ahead, angle of attack 1.6 degrees down, carry 231, total 254. So remember, if you're someone who struggled with fairway woods and hybrids in the past, get rid of that swing thought of sweeping the ball away. That's what's absolutely killing you. We need to get the club traveling down through impact, so we need to make sure that the low point of the golf swing is after the ball. The easiest way of doing that is backswing as normal. As you're getting to the top, shift that pressure towards the target, then you can turn out the way. That'll control your low point better and get you ripping all of these clubs like never before.